Okay, so in this one, we'll learn about trimming and adjusting things on the timeline, assuming you have a couple of edits already down. So in this case, here's what I have. I start with the studio shot, I go to the slide, and then a shaky shot as my third shot. So now, let's just start basic stuff. If I want to just move a shot to the left, start earlier. I think maybe that felt a little bit late, so I click on it, turns it white, and I just grab it and I just drag it to the left. When I let go, it drops it, that exact same shot, over what was there, and notice it leaves a little gap here on the end because I just moved this whole thing over, everything else stays the same. All right, that's what we call like an overwrite thing. So now I hit, so it comes in much earlier than the previous time. And then I have to decide what to do with this hole, okay?
It's the most powerful.
So I can either move everything up or I can expand this and stretch it out. So since all clips still are attached to the original clips, it's just extending the tail of this shot. So notice I just hover my mouse and I can go this way or whatever, and I just dragged it out. So now it fills the gap.
It's the most powerful.
So maybe I undo that and maybe I'll try it this way. I pull that up.
It's the most powerful custom.
Okay, so maybe that's a little bit better. So I extend the beginning of this number, the third shot, 111, rather than extending the tail. We talk about heads and tails, beginning and the ends of the middle shot. If I want something in between that, I can grab that a little bit there and grab a little of this here. So it's very intuitive. You just do what you want to do. Now, let's just assume for the moment. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Let me close that up again. Let me assume for the moment. Now, notice I just automatically click on this neutral gray area to deselect it. Anything that's white means it's susceptible to change. So you finish doing your changes, deselect it. Okay, suppose I want to just swap the position of these two shots. For whatever reason, I want to start with the 14 rather than number 1. If I hold the command button down first, then click on the clip and drag it to the left till it snaps to the beginning of the timeline, it actually will swap places and nothing as far as durations are changed. It doesn't make much sense.
It's the most powerful.
But that's how it works. Now, if I undid that and clicked on start dragging in, then held the command button down, it does something else. It does still swap them, but then it pushes everything down for some reason. I'm not quite sure why it does that. But anyway, be careful. If you do that and there leaves a big gap, Command Z undo, hold command down first, and then grab the clip and move it to the left. And it will retain the duration. It won't change duration. If you really want to just grab things, you can just click on them or shift select more than one and move them around. You can move it down, you can move it up. Just make sure that when you do that, you don't leave any black frame gaps between the pieces. All right? So now if the timing is off, ever so slightly, you want to just adjust it frame by frame, you can do that. And there's multiple ways of doing this, and it involves multiple tools here on the left. The default arrow is up here. The selection tool is letter V to you want to do a shortcut to get to that. These tools here will select anything all the way to the right, get a double head arrow. That means everything to the right is selected. If I click on the left one, it points to the left. Let me deselect it. And it'll grab everything ahead of that, okay? This arrow is a ripple edit tool, and it is yellow, as you can see. And that means if I want to shorten this, I just grab it and pull it this way, and it pulls everything up with it. Or this way, shorten the beginning of Honda 14, and it'll compress and make things, and it'll change duration, all right? The four-headed arrow, rolling edit tool, is that if you want to click here, you can just drag to the left or you can drag to the right. And that's interesting because what that does essentially is it will add, if I go to the right, it will add more frames to the Honda 1 on the left and remove frames from Honda 14 on the right. So you're just moving the edit point within the timeline without affecting anything downstream of that. So that seems to come in early. Now, again, moving the mouse is useful, except that it is less accurate. And the other way to doing this more accurately is to double click on it, and it opens up what's called a trim window here in the upper right. And what you're seeing here is the last frame of the shot from the left and the first frame of the incoming shot on the right. So this is it's called the outgoing, this is called the incoming. Now, on the bottom are some numbers, -5, -1, then a transition default thing, +1, +5. The confusing thing about this is that, because we brought up knowing arithmetic, we always think that a plus sign means adding things and the minus sign means to remove things. Somewhat true, not entirely. If I want to, in this case, I want to just move the edit to the left 2 frames, I go on the left side here and go -1 2 times. It tells me everything shifted -2 frames. So now and I had to preview this, I hit the space bar once. It'll keep looping that. Okay, in my mind, it's a little bit too early. So I'm going to shift the edit point in the positive direction, or the plus sign to the right. Okay, the edit point seems to be right, but I want the motorcycle is already in the shot. I want to see it before it comes in. So now the edit point on the timeline is correct. So now I'm going to click on the right side and notice that the blue lines are only on the right side. Before it was like this where both of them are. So I am making the right side active only. And now I want to add frames to this clip before he comes in. So if I would go plus, it would just keep shortening it. So adding +1 or +5 is actually diminishing what I want to do. What I really want to do is go earlier, which is a minus direction. So I'm going to back him up there. And now hit the space bar. That feels better to me. Right, and so I'm going to try it. Let me see how it looks if I go -2 more. Hit the space bar again. Okay, I like that a little bit better. Hit the space bar to stop it. So what I'm trying to prove by that is I can shift the edit point equally by making sure both frames are lit up by clicking this in the middle. So now both sides are blue. And now I can slide this edit point left to right, meaning when does the edit happen relative to the sound. Once I have that situated, then I can decide, do I need to see more or less of the shot in question? In this case, the incoming shot on the right side, I decide I want him before the tire comes in. So you have to experiment with this a little bit and play with it. And it's a little tricky, but think of this as moving toward the left earlier or moving to the right, which is later. So sometimes, and how many frames at a time? 1 frame or 5 frames at a time? Don't think of arithmetic, just say earlier or later. That will be a little more helpful. Now, to get out of this mode, all I do is click anywhere in here, and that'll take me out of that mode and give me back my arrow. The safest thing to click on the timeline is wherever these numbers are on the top ruler here. Okay, so that's...
It's the most powerful custom on.
Okay, so that is basic trimming.